We are today going to talk about the sales process. How do you launch a product into the market?
Just think, sell, what can I sell? How do I make money? How do I jump onto the next pretty penny? Sell, let's make loads of money. It doesn't work that way.
Don't spend too much at the beginning. Be patient, because you'll have to tweak, change, and manipulate your message multiple different times until you hit a sweet spot.
Marketing is very, very expensive. From building a website to landing pages to CRM systems to making sure you're putting your product in front of the right person or people can be very, very expensive. Now, we run our marketing operations. I mean, sometimes Mark Zuckerberg and our other people that we have to deploy to use the marketing, it runs into hundreds of thousands of pounds on a monthly basis. So if you get it wrong, you can spend an awful lot of money.
Morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Christian Woollard and welcome to CEO and the Founder. Lewis Hall, my partner here.
Hello. Good morning.
Hello. We are today going to talk about the sales process. How do you launch a product into the market? And how does that work? And we were just thinking, if you run to the sales process and you've done all that work and you're now putting it in front of the client, we can't really talk about that without going right back to the beginning, which is the product. So in terms of how we work, and I'm not saying it's right for any other business, but the way we work is first and foremost the product. So we look at the market. What does the market want? What's the market looking like? What's the projection for the next 3, 4, 5 years? What product can we get creative with? And we've mentioned many times, we have huge whiteboards, both in this office here and in the office behind where I am.
We have them on wheels.
We have them on wheels. And, there's a lot of thinking that goes on in developing a product. It's not a question of we just pluck something out of thin air and, oh, that's a good idea, let's just push that to market. So the product's got to work for us, and it's got to work for our clients, our investors. And so it's the strategy, and it might take a good month to develop one product. It might take even longer. We'll have ideas and concepts. So we have like a cutting desk where we've got loads of ideas and loads of concepts. Not all of those then make it to the production team, if you like. So we put strategies together. Where can investment fall over? How can it go wrong? Where can it be? Where are the holes in it? How can we plug those holes? What are the different layers of security that we need to put in place? What are the regulations that we need to adhere to?
From a compliance point of view.
From all compliance, how do we put that together? So that whole process takes place, and then we get to the point where we've narrowed it all down. We've fleshed it out. We have a product. Now, is that product going to be saleable? Is it going to be reacted well to in the market, and will clients want it? And we put products out that do exceptionally well. We've put other products out that do reasonably well. So there is no magic wand. It's the appetite of the client to what the investment strategy is that we can put together.
Correct.
So once we've done that, once we've got that put in place, and it's a well-rounded investment strategy, that's when we start looking at, okay, how can we market this and how can we sell this? And those two sort of go hand in hand, really. Typically, we're not a great company for sales scripts. Yes, we do a guideline outline of all of the information that each of our advisors downstairs should be telling a client.
Well, just on that, it's like what you used the word advisors are. We don't have salespeople. They're investment advisors. They're there to advise potential investors on our products. They're not always going to suit. It's like what you said, there's an awful lot. There's a lot of people out there just think, sell, what can I sell? How do I make money? How do I jump onto the next pretty penny? Sell, let's make loads of money. It doesn't work that way. There is, like what you said, there is months and months. I mean, just looking over there, the whiteboards over there, the whiteboards in your office, we're forever getting creative. And it comes down to effectively creating a solution for a potential problem. And that not necessarily might be a problem, but it might be a gap in the market. It might be a new investment product. It's how can you get creative with the resources that you have around us, and we've got many resources around us, from our acquisition teams to our investment advisors to our developers to Christian himself to me myself, to everyone that we have around us. So we understand the market in the investment world extremely well, so we know what we can. There's no point in creating something for the fun of it. Let's create a product where we're going to make loads of money. Does it add value to the investor? Is it going to solve a solution? Is it going to create a solution for a problem that's never gone, and vice versa. And then what you then do is, once you've got creative, like what you said, we then make sure it works. There's no point inventing something for the fun of it.
And it's the due diligence that we have to go through on every. I mean, we get pitched all the time. People ringing us up, emailing us, knocking on our door.
Can you sell this?
Can you sell this? Can you represent us? Can you do this? And there's a percentage of those products that go through what we class as our due diligence. We look at it. We look in the back of their contracts and what they do and how they do. Because typically, as a business, we don't do any third-party investments. It's all controlled and managed by us.
And direct
by us.
With
very small exceptions, but they have to be rock-solid investment
and also
strategies.
They've got to be one of our partners. But what we're very, very proud of at Unique, like Christian said, anything that we do at Unique, you can't go and buy on Rightmove. Or you can't go and buy it from another company. Everything we do is direct, whether that's a government provider, whether that's a developer, whether that's the managing director of a multi-million pound real estate REIT, and everywhere in between. We only work with people that are direct, and that allows us not only to be the only person to sell it, but because we've created it, we're not trying to do it so it's only with us. It's the way that we create it, it becomes, because it's, excuse the pun, it is unique.
Well, and it's a control position. We put our names to everything that we do, and when you're using third-party or even fourth-party investment strategies, and you're just piggybacking off things, which a number of people do out there in the market, you have no control over how that is put together. You have no control on the due diligence, the contractual elements. And so therefore your liability as a company is wide open, and you have no way of protecting your clients. So that's why we keep it in-house.
There's many reasons why we do it, but the main one is to have control, right? And it's like, as an example, that we had an investor come to us recently. I'm not going to say names, we never do on this podcast, but they painted a picture, and we wasn't surprised at all. And what they said was they were involved, they bought a deal, and there was, I think it was like a block of apartments, there was 50 of them sold, but one company had sold 50 apartments to 50 investors, and then another company that was selling the whole same thing. And it's like, it's everywhere. Everyone sees it on social media. I'm not saying it's good or bad, we're just saying that's what's out there. But because they're all selling the same thing, whether they haven't got a tight enough compliance, or I don't know whether but the issues that happened is another company then sold the same block to 50 investors. So there's 100 investors that have bought 50 deals. So there was 50 people that have invested, gone through that whole process, and then someone's going to have to then go back. And I said, I'm not surprised that happened. Can you imagine? And what they then do is they will either try and find you somewhere else to go into, or you've just forgotten about, or they've got to go back and say, sorry, that investment I sold you isn't now available because someone else sold it, which is, let's be honest, it's very unprofessional.
Yeah, very unprofessional and borderline fraudulent.
And again, I'm not here to badmouth any other companies, but it just shows you what is in the industry. Yeah. When you invest in Unique, that's next to impossible. Now, one thing I will say is when we do get, like Christian said, we must get 10, 15 people a day. And look, we're very grateful for everyone reaching out. Because we've got our resources, and the HQ that we've put together was a risk. We took a huge risk, and not only a risk, it took us millions to put this together. And we're very proud of it. But it's not for everyone to go, well, can you come and sell up the amount of people? Can you sell this? Can you sell that? We're very grateful for it, but we just don't need it. It's not something that we're not going to sell other products that we haven't created just because we can make money. There was someone the other day put together this presentation that went on for 28 pages in this PDF. It was brilliant that we put it together. But the end of it was like, but you can make £250,000 a month if you sell our products. Look, thank you very much for reaching out. But we don't need it, but that's not us as a business. We don't want to devalue what we've created or devalue us and just become that sell company. But what I will say is we do have our exclusive partnership program at Unique that we're very, very proud of. And we have a small team of partners that exclusively sell our stuff to their own investors, which creatively helps the Unique as an overall. But outside of that, we don't, we only do what we do at Unique.
Yeah. So let's look. So we've got the product. We've built the product. Next stages are obviously marketing and how the sales team are going to do. So marketing is your department, not me. So once we've got that rounded product together, it's rock solid, and it's over to you and your teams to do the marketing. What are your stages?
So yeah, good point. There's lots of them, and it's not, believe it or not, it's not a simple case of just putting a post out on social media. It used to be many years ago. But things have evolved, especially with the scalability of what we're trying to create. So like what Christian said, there's an awful lot of work that goes into the due diligence, whether that's compliance, running it through certain regulatory bodies to make sure that it is compliant? Does it actually add value to the end user? Is it solving a problem? There's lots of work that goes into that. Once that's been created, now we don't create products for the fun of it, but we're ever evolving as the world and the industry and the economy changes. We like to adapt and change with them to make sure that our investors are getting the best possible investment out there. The next part is to hand it over to the marketing teams, which I head up with the marketing division. Outside of that, once you've got it all aligned, you have to, from the product you've created, you have a rough idea of who you're going to target, who your investors are. So for example, if you're targeting hands-off investors, what your marketing then needs to be is targeting those investors. Because if you just put a post out on social media and there's no geographical targeting, you're not targeting the exact people that are going to purchase it. One, what you end up doing is spending an awful lot of money, because marketing is very, very expensive, from building a website to landing pages, to CRM systems, to making sure you're putting your product in front of the right person or people, can be very, very expensive. Now, we run our marketing operations. I mean, sometimes Mark Zuckerberg and our other people that we have to deploy to use their marketing, I mean, it runs into hundreds of thousands of pounds on a monthly basis. So if you get it wrong, you can spend an awful lot of money and you won't reap the rewards from that. Now, marketing for us, we look at it as an investment. Over the years, I mean, we've been doing this for decades. We know how to target, and we're keeping up with the times, whether it's the modern way of, it's not all about let's go put it out on social media and hope for the best. There is multiple campaigns. So effectively, you're running a marketing campaign. You need to make sure that you're targeting the right people, but you need to understand where they're at. Let's say, for example, if you're selling cars on social media, you need to make sure that you're not just putting out, look at my flash car, who wants to buy it? You're targeting people, because then what you can then do is you can create a sustainable plan. If you've got the marketing correct, from that marketing, you need to have examples of the product, the benefits of the investor, not just who wants to buy this deal, it's 150 grand. What's the benefit of doing that?
I was going to say, I mean, based on your point, you can lose a lot of money in marketing. I mean, we know the pains of that, but it's fair to say when you go to market and you've built the product model, you know how much money it's going to actually generate. You need to budget the marketing from that point. How much do you want to take out of it? And it's all about the cost of acquisition of a client.
100%. And
so which, can range in our business can range from £1,000 to nearly £3,000 per client acquisition.
Good point, because you have to know that. You have to understand the data behind it. If you're just launching a new product, you've never done it before, you're out there in the wide world. You could end up, if you don't plan it out and there's no strategic planning behind it with the correct data and who you're targeting, how you're going to do it. There are so many businesses out there that I know that will just hope, or they'll just put something out there. They might get lucky. You need a whole plan behind it, but also what you need to do, and it's something that we do, maybe it's because it's my ADHD or my ability to understand that you have to invest in not only yourself, but the product and the marketing. There's so many companies out there that not only come to us, but because we know them they just won't go and spend money on marketing. If you're going to run a product that's going to, if you map it out over a year and it's going to bring you in, I don't know, £1 million worth of revenue, what's that worth to you? What's your margin on that? You need to work backwards. So as part of our due diligence, not only do we have a huge due diligence team as a part of our compliance, our acquisition teams, etc. We know the market extremely well, but we have our own finance teams in-house, we've done that in the last year. It's an absolute game changer. Look, we've got our external teams, which is our accountants, our payroll divisions, etc. But now that we've got our own in-house finance teams, yes, we were doing it anyway, but it allows us, like we're doing recently, you can forecast. What you want to do is put together a forecast. Let's say that product's going to generate £10,000 a month. How much money are you going to make out of that? Let's say you're going to make 20% margin. Then from that, you can work out what is your budget. When you launch a product, the first 3 to 6 months, your budget's going to be higher naturally, because then what you can then do is you can do the paid marketing and your organic stuff. Some products don't work organically because you have to put yourself out there in front of that market. Now, what part of your due diligence as well, I mean, let's just run with the investment side of it. You've also got to understand the market that you're in, or the market you're going to be in. What's your competition? And this is part of your due diligence before you launch a product. Are you just putting out there what everyone else is doing? Are you just doing it to make a bit of money? Are you actually solving a problem that's going to make all of that market come to you hence what we do, and it works. But you have to know that.
Or you're going to get drowned out by the other people in the marketplace.
I mean, let's say, for example, look, in the investment world, I won't say, let's pick one example, you're dealing with a multi-million-pound company. Let's use us, for example. If you're going to launch an investment product that's similar, you don't have what we've got, for example. I don't mean that in an ego way or an aggressive way whatsoever. But if you're up against a market where people are out there dominating and spending £250,000 every single 4 weeks on marketing, you need to be aware of that because you're up against them. Then that then comes down to having a unique selling point. What's your product differently? But ultimately, what you need to do is part of a mixture of everything we've just said. You need to forecast that and you need to work it out backwards. And sometimes it is an investment in your marketing, and it's about risk as well. Your risk ability to be able to go and spend. It's like some people say to me, how on earth do you make those decisions? It's calculated. It's can't, let's just go and throw 100 grand at market and hope it works. Because
it links in with the salespeople, because we know to get X amount of revenue from a specific product, correct, we need to spend X amount on marketing, and therefore there's no point in doing that if then the sales team, correct, or advisory team, but call it sales team for argument's sake, can't then substantiate the value coming in.
Absolutely spot on. And an example of that, let's say, for example, if you've launched a product and there's two of you in the business, and you've launched a product and you want to take it to the mass market, and you've just spent six figures on leads. Now, as an example, I'll happily share this. Our leads range from £200 all the way down to £50. All depends on where we're getting them from. And sometimes you have to keep up with that, because if there's other investment companies out there that are selling, they're never ever going to be able to sell the product we've got. That's our unique selling point. But you could have a company that will spend more money on marketing, and people will just get wormed into it, right? Let's be honest, it happens on a daily basis, not just in the investment product, in any industry. Now, let's say, for example, what the point I'm trying to make is, if you don't do the forecast and you don't have the resources around you, like Christian was saying, and you go and spend six figures a month, let's say, for example, what six figures going to get you in our sort of world? I don't know. Let's say 500 leads. You've got 500 leads and there's two of you. By the time you've gone through those leads, they're not interested.
Yeah.
They say on average, if you look at, let's say, for example, you're listening to this now, you're on social media, how many adverts do you come across? If you're on an iPhone, they call it, and Meta are trying to change it at the moment, but you basically, you can click a button, automatically fill out a form. And that's where some of our investment advisors will speak to someone and go, you filled out a form last week. Can't remember doing that. Because a lot of people just scroll down and click. But back to the point, if you don't have the resources to back up the money you just spent on marketing, you might as well go get a trash can and burn £100,000. Yeah. And that's why what we do at Unique, not only do we make sure that we're creating products that are actually needed, that are going to support people, that are sustainable, we can work out through our experience and our knowledge what the forecast is going to be, what we think it's going to generate. Now, when you launch a new product, you always get that buzz. So the first month is going to be exciting, etc. But don't overspend money. Spend money on marketing. There's so many people out there that don't spend money on marketing. Yeah. In other industries, I see people that have got fantastic services, but they won't spend the money. Like other people around us, how on earth do you make those decisions? We have to, but we do it through calculated decisions. It's not Lewis on a whiteboard going, I mean, you've seen the details that we go into before to make any money. But we track, we analyse, and then we go back. We
constantly on a daily basis.
Oh, literally every single day we have a meeting in the morning with me and the teams, and this is something that I get involved in. I quite enjoy it, and it can be nervous, it can be stressful because it doesn't always work. Yeah. We've had it before, and I'm sure you've got no issues with me sharing this. We've done it before on a product in the last 12 months where we spent too much in terms of what it actually brought in. Correct.
You're never going to get it 100% right.
And exactly. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not saying that we got it wrong, because there's no magical numbers, because if it was that easy, everyone would do it. But it's not that we've got loads of resources around to spend loads of money. We don't. That's our margins. That's our money. But we heavily invest. And sometimes we follow the data because that's what you have to make decisions on it. It's a risk, but it's a calculated risk. If you don't take those risks, you're just going to stand still or move backwards. So going back to it, you need to make sure your product it's actually solving a problem or a service that's going to add value. You need to make sure that it's structured correctly, and not just for you to make money. The amount of people that I see coming to us go, Lewis, sell this, but they don't talk about anything to do with the investor and how much money they're going to make or the risk involved, where we work backwards from that. And that's what our unique selling point to our investments.
Yeah, I also think if you're launching a new product, you need to be patient with it as well. So don't spend too much at the beginning. Be patient because you'll have to tweak, change, and manipulate your message multiple different times until you hit a sweet spot.
Agreed.
I mean, a product we launched a year ago, I would say it took 6 months to get that marketing in the sweet spot.
I'm sat here laughing, smiling, because when Christian said you got to be patient, I'm the most unpatient person in the world, and I've had to teach myself and the teams around me, because I want results like yesterday and tomorrow. And what I've learned over the last couple of years in marketing, you just can't do that. You have to analyze the data. You have to run something with enough time. And I've done it myself in the past. We put something out there, we've got no results, and the next day we're changing it. Let it go out there, let it fail, let it win, because you'll learn from that mistakes. And it goes back to what I was saying. If you don't have that marketing budget, don't launch it. If you don't have the resources, don't do it. We're not saying, and this is like for anyone listening out there that's going to start a business, this isn't to put people off. You don't have to. We're at a level now, we've been doing this for so long, we have to operate at a certain level because of the numbers that we need for the business. We have to get a certain amount of revenue in. To get that revenue, we've got to spend that money in marketing. It's like you said, you've got to not only know your product, you've got to know your customer, know who you're targeting, but you've got to budget and also have the ability and resources to do that correctly and be able to, if you don't have the money to sit back for a month and launch a product for that money to come in, don't launch it, because you're going to be stressing yourself out. You'd be running around and making all the wrong mistakes, and allow it to, sometimes not necessarily allow it to go wrong, but
don't run before you can walk.
But when you fail at something, you'll learn. Whether that's in yourself personally or in business, or going back to a marketing campaign. Not all marketing campaigns that we run are perfect from day one. Like you said, the last one that we done, and this is a product that's brought us in over 7 million pound. It was painful, but we used all our resources, and I learned a lot about myself in that period last year, but we got it perfect. Did we do it all ourselves? No, we got some outsourced people to come in, people that help with this podcast. They massively helped with that. We are very good at marketing, but we're not graphic designers. We're not experts at building landing pages. So we outsource that, but we put a roadmap together with, like, for example, the product we've launched recently, the fractional product, which is exceptional. That took months of us. The idea that me and you had sat on that table over there, then we worked out the resources behind it, then we worked out the compliance, the regulated stuff that we can and can't do. That didn't work. We had to tweak it that way. How can we structure it? That didn't work. What's the market behind it? What's this? What's that? And then it's like I'm about to say, it's like having a baby, but when you launch something, it's exciting. And then to sit back, and it didn't fail, but then the first couple of months didn't go as planned. So then we worked out where we potentially gone wrong. We tweaked that, changed that, done that, and you're just adding value. Then all of a sudden, when we got it perfect, it was like a whale. It was a well-oiled machine. Don't know where that come from, but it was like it's like when we had that meeting the other day, and it's like we sat down, and when you look at a product, you got the teams downstairs, we got the acquisition teams excited because they're now speaking to the developers. The developers are excited, going, how on earth you come up with this? Unique have done it again. And then we've got the onboarding of the client, from the client's experience. If you look at our reviews, go and read the reviews. The client, when you speak to our clients, their experience, their feedback, and it put my hairs on me. I get so excited when you look at, like, Yasmin, when she's done that pitch presentation. We had an event recently, and one of our clients stood up, and we didn't even ask her to do it. She just stood up and was like, someone was asking some questions, it's too good to be true, and she stood up and was like, but look what Unique done in the background. You see them walking around the building, they're like, oh my God, this is great. And they see the work that goes on. It's not just, there's someone else selling that, can we come and sell it and all split commissions, let's go make loads of money. The world are doing that, and that's not Unique. But when you put it all together and you sit back, and from me and you getting creative and our teams getting creative to creating an actual solution, which is a product or a service, which in our case it's a product, to then mapping out the marketing, then going into how the CRM system links with the websites and the leads, and it's a whole, and then you see the back end of it and you see it all flow. It's not always going to be perfect, but when you get it perfect, it's a proud moment.
Indeed. So I think the takeaway from the marketing side of it, apart from there's a lot of information there, probably one of the most key points is don't overspend to get more leads than you can actually capably manage and deal with, because you will just burn money. But then, so we've created a product, we've created the marketing, now it's over to the advisory team to actually discuss that with clients.
So when we say advisory teams, we don't call our staff salespeople, they're investment advisors.
Exactly. And, in-house at the moment, we have, 15 advisory, 10, 15, and we have some external partners. But, we've done all of our work to that point.
It's now over to you.
No, it's over to our sales director to, train all of the advisory team on a new product, how that product works, all the ramifications, implications that it might have for every single type of investor. Sorry,
another bit of advice that I would add at that point is make sure whether you have salespeople or investment advisors, we call them, or whether you're just a one-man band, or whether it's you, your director, or whoever's wearing many hats, whoever that person is that's going to then have the conversations with the salespeople, whether it's an appointment setter or you've outsourced it, whatever, make sure it's the same message from your marketing. So many people, I've done it recently when, like we said a minute ago, we get a lot of people that come to us trying to sell this, sell that, and someone pitched me something, and then they sent me this document. And again, I saw a great advert. I thought, I'll look into that. Just interested to see what's out there. I clicked on it, and the person that called me, it was night and day. It was like a different company, and he said completely, it didn't flow, and it put me off. But the point I'm trying to make is make sure your message, some people call it a pitch. I don't like the word pitch, but the message, the communication from your marketing must flow the minute you have the conversation with that client. If anything, it needs to mirror word to word. What a lot of companies do is they put some marketing out there. You're always going to tweak your marketing to get the best results, but make sure that marketing flows into your investment advisory or the salesperson you're talking to. So many people get that wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I think with our sales team, our advisory team downstairs, we have, as standard, regardless of which advert a client might have come through from, we have a discovery call.
Yep.
So there's no sales pitch. There's no, this is what we have today, you've got to buy this. There's none of that. So in that discovery call, it's very much about discovering who the client is.
Get to know them.
What are their aspirations? What are they trying to achieve? What sort of level of investments are they comfortable getting involved with? And then describing us as a business, what we do, the different suite of products that we have. So we have some products that don't require any regulation, whether you want to buy a property, and we put a long-standing 25-year lease in there, and you own the asset. And we in effect act like an estate agent to investments that there are in Dubai, where people again can buy off plan. To then our more sophisticated investment strategies, which we might have to require a client to sign a sophisticated investor certificate, or high net worth, or self-certify themselves, because we obviously have to adhere to the regulations in this country, because we operate in the UK, so we operate by the UK regulations. And so we have that discovery call, and it's after that discovery call, it's lovely speaking to you, Mr. Jones, Mrs. Smith, whatever their names are. How would you like to proceed? What type of products are suited for you? Because we don't shoehorn anybody into any product that we have. If it's not right for you, that's fine.
Just on that, I think it's fair to say, more so now than ever before, we turn down investors, or we say no to a lot of people, because if it doesn't line up, what I mean by that is, if you're looking for an investor that wants to get involved, because what we do is hands off. It's hands off for a reason, because the operations are already there. It's completely hands off. We had an investor come through recently. I can't remember who they've spoken to, but they wanted to get heavily involved in it. You're not available to get involved because all the value's been added. Let's say, for example, if you want to go buy the worst property on the street, do the refurb, we don't sell those type of products. So wherever you've got an investor on the phone that's got £100,000 to invest, we're not then going to convince them, well, don't do that, buy that. If you want to go do that, well, that's fantastic, Miss Smith. We don't operate that as a business.
And equally, we've had some clients reach out saying, or can I leverage my credit card, or can I take a loan out to do this investment?
We get that quite a lot now.
And ultimately, it's entirely up to that person. But from our standpoint, it's not a very ethical way of doing an investment. You either have the funds, and if you're a very sophisticated investor, that you might be leveraging. Because if you're borrowing at 5% and you're getting 20% back, yes, you could do that. But from just a normal, Joe Blogs off the street, we certainly wouldn't be recommending any of that sort of activity to
like, for example, Jessica, one of our advisors, had someone recently that was like, and look, we're going to get it naturally because we offer such high returns because of our operations. We get a lot of people that turn around and go, hang on a minute, I don't have any funds to invest. I can't remember what it was. I can go and get £21,500 on my credit card, pay it back at 3%, you give me 25%. Those numbers do work, but we don't advise you to do that. If anything, we went and like Jessica, what shall I say? And we went back and said, look, thank you very much for your creativity. We strongly do not advise any investor to do that. And they were so grateful. And then what happened a couple of days later is they got hold of another company, and they absolutely, we take credit cards. We're not saying there's pros and cons to that. We don't do that. And that was just another example.
Because also, we're not looking at a one-off. Our relationship with our clients,
long term,
we don't want one-offs. And so if you're just hammering a credit card just to get into an investment strategy, that doesn't work for us long term, because we can't then present further investments to you. It's just not sustainable.
And going back to that, good point with the marketing. What you need to budget in your marketing, if you're forever just chasing new clients, new money, and you're just churning clients, then you need to budget that, because that gets expensive. Yeah. What we tend to do is across a 12-month period of our marketing, it's front heavy for the first couple of months. It will then dip down, and it will go up and down depending on that. And remember, we had a couple of podcasts, I think it was the other month, and I think we estimated 60, I think we said 70% of our investors will return. I've got the exact number. 86%.
Wow.
I was blown away. It came through yesterday. Will worked it out. In the last 12 months, 86%. This is huge. Now, bear in mind, we're talking hundreds and hundreds of clients, many millions. 86% reinvested.
I mean, that's a testament to itself, isn't it? I mean, it's very powerful.
And when someone sent me that message yesterday, I was like, because if you look at our marketing recently, what we've done with one of our products that launched 12 months ago, we've dropped that marketing down 40% on spend. Where it was running at 190 grand a month, it's now 40% cheaper. Now, don't get me wrong, sometimes you've got to increase it to suit that market. But going back to it, with your marketing, you need to understand all of the ins and the outs of it, what sort of CRM systems are going to count that flow of traffic coming through, how you're going to handle that traffic. And most people as well, they'll go and get some leads and do you know what, I'll call them next Friday. You might as well stop. You need to be instant if you're going to be on it. You have to think, always work backwards from anything. If you're going to market a product or a service, what does it look like from the outside coming backwards? What does that look like? You need to create what good looks like, right? But you need to work backwards, make sure you've got the right budget, make sure it's saying the right message. But also, when you've got investors that are interested, make sure you're there to respond to them. I get annoyed looking at other companies when someone's gone, I'm interested to have some more information. No one's responded 6 weeks later. And then someone's gone, oh, sorry, I've just seen this. Like, if someone reaches out to you on your marketing, reach out immediately. In this world that we live in, it's very, very, very fast paced. It's like I've said for years. The property market moves extremely quick, move quicker.
I hope that was useful. I think there was quite a few nuggets to take away from that, and we look forward to speaking to you again on the next one.
We will see you soon. Thank you very much.